You know when Kendrick says watch the party die, you gotta stop the party after a while. Like, if you don't stop the party and keep it till 50, you see where Diddy's at. At some point, just exit stage left. I'm gonna catch you later.
Well, Aubrey's and Gentlegrams, from the last year of events, backwards, bruised, and bent, the world seemed as divided as it could get. From politics to culture shifts to petitions printed over a scalding diss, the samurai who wouldn't miss off everything his words predict was Kendrick Lamar. The party is dead, so knock out the like and subscribe buttons and put them to bed. 9/11, 2024. Kendrick Lamar releases a cryptic Instagram post, a picture of two beaten up black Air Force One shoes, accompanied with a song. This wasn't just any song. This was the first track Kendrick Lamar released since his historic battle with Drake. And while Drake and his minions teased around too, this song emphasized that Kendrick Lamar was on a bigger mission.
It was big news in the hip-hop world when Kendrick Lamar surprise released a new song on the evening of September 11th. A 5-minute untitled track released simply with a picture of these shoes, a pair of black Air Force Ones.
Boom, that's them.
Internet sleuths quickly figured out the shoes came from an eBay listing based in North Little Rock.
And all of a sudden my phone was blowing up.
Their shoes, which were quickly snatched up for $70, were now a piece of hip-hop history. Once they figured out what was going on, the couple canceled the initial order, and they're now trying to sell the shoes in an auction format starting at $5,000. And since they own the image, they say they plan to sell t-shirts with it.
At the time, the song felt like another entry into his long tradition of cryptic, layered storytelling. But looking back a year later, the song reads like a prophecy. Kendrick wasn't just rapping about a party, he was diagnosing a culture and predicting the fractures that would soon define both hip-hop and the world as we know it. Over the next 12 months after this song's release, the party really did begin to fall apart. We saw the crumblings of empires within the industry. Giants like Diddy, Lil Durk, or Big U be entangled into RICO cases facing multiple decades behind bars. We saw Young Thug beat a RICO case, get released from behind bars, seemingly making it his mission as a free man to tear down the one artist that was prospering on Thug's record label, Gunna, focusing more on street politics than music and getting exposed for tearing down nearly everyone within the music industry that he has collaborated with in the past, sending a shockwave of division amongst a once heavily unified Atlanta trap music scene.
I don't feel like you came home humble, bro. Enough. And then when you got out, I don't feel like you was focused, bro, the way you should have been. I feel like you taking your blessing for granted. Came home playing again.
With Thug breaking down himself in the process.
I just don't got my twin, bro. I don't got my friends, bro. I'm just fucked up, bro. I'm fucked up, bro. The nigga who I be with every day, I don't got him no more, bro. I'm fucked up, bro. I don't know what to do, bro. Like, and I ain't lose no nigga to a tragic, or now I lost a nigga to betrayal, bro. You signing that one piece of paper, signing your initials on this one piece of paper could get me a life sentence, man. I get a life sentence all this piece of paper you signed, bro. Damn.
But it wasn't just certain artists getting exposed. In the last 12 months, plenty of other artists decided to show their true colors in the midst of adversity or criticism. We saw Kanye West have multiple breakdowns on Twitter, isolating himself from the entire world. We saw DJ Akademiks, someone who was mentioned directly by name from Kendrick Lamar throughout his battle with Drake, not only push propaganda, but also behave in highly inappropriate ways when he thought the entire world was not watching.
Mr. Self-Righteous, I call you hip-hop Jesus because that's how people look at you. The plight that Kendrick seems to be fighting is now clearly aimed at people who he thinks are frauds. A lot of the industry, they're frauds. If you can't outmaneuver him, sometimes you gotta wait till he checkmates himself because you don't have the moves to beat him. This was a misstep for me. Not the song being whack. I don't think it's whack, but I think it's a misstep. The rapper who has been known as the "we gonna be alright" rapper, the guy who is for the culture, he spent an entire career standing on the right side of those fights, going against the establishment. But we've seen a different Kendrick Lamar this year. This is a Kendrick Lamar who, whether you want to admit it or not, this is a Kendrick Lamar who's moving off of self-admitted hatred. Not maybe as righteous as maybe you think.
We saw veterans like Lil Wayne try to steal the spotlight and downplay the accomplishments made by Kendrick Lamar when he wasn't chosen for the Super Bowl halftime show. And later in the year, we saw if he truly did deserve that title. We saw Pusha T battle censorship from his own record label before jumping ship. And of course, we saw La Brianna initiate an unprecedented form of censorship through legal filings related to his battle with Kendrick Lamar. All of these issues stemming from division, feeling like you no longer have control over the pulse of a culture you once did. But even outside of music, division grew sharper. Trump reclaimed the presidency, the political climate reached new extremes, and violent flashpoints like the Charlie Kirk assassination shook society at large. All of this chaos mirrors exactly what Kendrick Lamar seemed to be pointing at within this song: the death of unity, the collapse of an era, and the need to draw a line between artists who stand for substance versus a culture addicted to spectacle. Watch the Party Die wasn't just a song, it was a warning. Kendrick might have not known it, but he saw it all coming and predicted exactly where the state of society would be headed. I think it's time to watch the party die. This stuff got too wicked to apologize. It's different. Get him whacked and disqualified. We even kill the killers because they like taking innocent lives. Burn the whole village. We start over. It's really that time. You could tell just by the first few bars of this song that Kendrick's incentive after the battle was to rebuild hip-hop from the ground up. There was no turning back, no apologizing. Burn down the entire village. You would think he specifically referencing his overall mission when challenging Drake for the massive rap battle they had just months before this song was released. I will touch on Kendrick Lamar's intentions with the battle and everything that transpired throughout his victory lap later in this video. But ultimately, this was bigger than Drake. This was bigger than a rap battle. He would go on months later to do an interview where he discussed his intentions by challenging one of hip-hop's most successful figures, and ultimately it was to bring the spirit of competition back.
I love when artists grit their teeth.
You created this massive cultural award-winning anthem out of a battle rap song.
My intent from day one was to always keep the nature of it as a sport. I think a lot of people was putting rap to the back and you didn't see that grit, you didn't see that bite anymore.
It's not enough.
But what are you competing for exactly? 2 years before this, Kendrick Lamar had stripped himself of this savior complex, letting his audience know he wasn't here to save the culture. He had to work on himself before he can fix the environment around him.
Kendrick made you think about it, but he is not your savior.
And his battle with Drake was breaking down the boundaries and cultural norms within hip-hop at the time in order to fully destroy the standard and rebuild it from the ground up. But again, before we dive too deep in the battle, an important line in the first few bars of this song truly stands out. We even kill the killers because they like taking innocent lives.
What we're doing is using our brain to get out of the ghetto any way we can. So we tell these stories, and they tend to be violent because our world tends to be filled with violence.
Think about what has intoxicated not just hip-hop culture, but society at large, really since the turn of this new decade. The new decade that Kendrick Lamar has been more silent than ever, only speaking through the music. And there's a reason for that, which he touches on later in this song. I want to read you guys some absolutely insane stats. According to the Center for Homeland Defense and Security's K-12 school shooting database, after the world was reopened following the COVID-19 pandemic, the 2021 to 2022 school year had the highest number of school shootings since records began in the year 2000. A Kaiser Family Foundation analysis found that student exposure to school shootings had nearly tripled since the year 1999. With most of that increase occurring during the pandemic years, 2020 to 2024. These are truly terrifying numbers. And aside from just school shootings, gun violence in general has been on a terrifying rise, with 2021 and 2022 seeing record highs for firearm deaths within the US. 46,728 firearm-related deaths in 2023. And 2023 didn't even have the highest total of firearm-related deaths ever recorded. And this rise in gun violence has been directly reflected in music. One of the biggest anthems of 2021, Back in Blood, was all about seeking revenge on your enemies. Lil Durk was previewing the song when he got the news that his childhood friend and longtime collaborator, King Von, had tragically passed away to firearm violence. The other artist on that Back in Blood song, Pooh Shiesty, has been incarcerated since 2022 on a federal firearms conspiracy charge. And now in October of 2024, about a month after this song was released, Lil Durk himself was arrested by federal authorities on a conspiracy to commit unaliving for hire against Quando Rondo, a man who was present and involved in the altercation that led to King Von's passing 4 years prior. 3 of some of the most promising rising talents within this new generation of hip-hop have now either lost their lives or freedom due to gun violence. But it's not just the musicians. It trickles down and is arguably fueled by social media discourse. Viral hashtags like Slide for Von swept the internet following King Von's passing.
They used to say it, but you also mentioned a song. They be like, they be saying Slide for Von. I think they trolling me. Yo, by the way, them songs is fire. I ain't gonna lie.
For some reason, I just don't see them comments no more. For some odd reason. Might be the water. You be seeing them comments a lot?
They kind of chilled out a little bit.
I wonder why.
Tons of internet personalities like DJ Akademiks, Adam22, Traplo Ross have made careers off documenting the violence, crimes, and deaths plaguing hip-hop culture and America at large. This cultural reset isn't just about the monotony that Drake's formulaic music has brought to hip-hop over the last decade. It translates to the grander, darker picture that has painted and plagued societal norms more heavily than ever over the last few years. And I'm not saying this is what Kendrick had in mind when rapping these bars, but it translates into the exact sequence of events that we witnessed after this song was released. Why reason with these guys if they can't see the future first? Why argue with these clowns if the circus is well at work? Just walk that man down. That'll do everyone a solid. It's love, but tough love sometimes gotta result in violence. If you parade in gluttony without giving truth to the youth, the graveyard is company. Just tell us what casket to choose. They party more than women. Tell me, what are you working for? They glorify scamming. You get chipped over this credit card. Why argue with these clowns if the circus is well at work? Kendrick didn't do any arguing. He made a statement, and that came in the form of one bar. F the big 3, it's just big me. It paints a bigger picture far beyond Drake. You can separate yourself from what is going on within society, but if you want people to follow you, to respect you, to view you as a leader, you've got to let the world know why you are superior in every facet. From your skill set to your moral compass, to the words you speak, but more importantly, the actions you take. And the line in the sand being drawn from what Kendrick is trying to separate himself against is very clear in these bars. Why reason with them if they don't see the future first? Why argue with clowns if the circus is well at work? This is a well-oiled machine. Social media has made it to where you can build a career off of being a clown. There's a reason why the term brain rot has been popularized over the last few years. We're consuming mindlessly. In gluttony. If you parade in gluttony without giving truth to the youth, the graveyard is company. Just tell us what casket to choose. Following down a path of gluttony will lead you to emptiness. I don't think that statement was better emphasized than when we heard how Young Thug was speaking on Kendrick Lamar himself while he was locked up behind bars. Young Thug wanted to do everything he could to sabotage his artist Gunna's career over street politics. He planned to release an album the same day as Gunna and wanted to get the entire industry featured on it. When he found out Morgan Wallen was beating him for the #1 spot, without even knowing who Morgan Wallen is and what he stood for, he still wanted to get him on the project. Without even respecting who Kendrick Lamar is and the moves he makes, he still wanted to have Kendrick on the project. But when Kendrick ultimately rejected the request, Young Thug went on a rant complaining about how Kendrick Lamar will never be the one leading the culture, basically because he doesn't parade in gluttony. He doesn't collaborate with every artist. He's not outside. He's not necessarily putting these different rappers on the same way Drake does, like the Lil Babies, the 21 Savages, Moneybagg Yo, Young Thug himself.
With Kendrick.
I hope he do it.
So do I.
He don't take no money, do he?
No. He wouldn't do that. But think about it. He does so few verses. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's not just doing verses. Like,
right. All that fake. I ain't getting no rapper song shit. I don't be liking them type shit like that. You get too big. Like, I don't want to do no feature. Why? Why you don't want to do no feature? Why wouldn't you want to do a feature for a superstar? You really got Lil Durk calling you for a song. Lil Baby, Dogg, real superstar calling you for a song. Why wouldn't you do the song? We lit, nigga. We going #1 too. I don't be understanding that type of shit. Supposed to be a nigga who blessing it. That's why them niggas will never be bigger than Drake ever in life. Put somebody on. It's okay to run you a few hundred M's up, but who you help though? They'll never be bigger than Buddy. Buddy gonna do it right. Buddy with everybody. You know how many niggas like Drake change? How many niggas can take care of their family because of Buddy? Just like straight which Kendrick got there and put him on. You're a superstar. You don't ran up you a few hundred M, but you ain't putting nobody on though. You probably with me, Wham, Dirt, Savvy. You probably with us. You probably calling us like, hey man, I want y'all young niggas on my album. I'm on some player shit. It's big time around. I'm on players.
But there's a different strategy to how both Drake and Kendrick create and execute their art. Kendrick, for example, did put people on his Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers album, but used them as centerpieces to highlight the fractures within society, the result of being a victim to a generational cycle of oppression. Kodak Black was placed strategically on the album's tracklist in the form of an interlude for Kodak to document his come up, his trials and tribulations, and how these struggles can create a flawed individual who is a constant work in progress.
Surprised to see you on Kendrick's album, but what's that relationship been like, kind of collabing with him?
Me and Kendrick, we got a lot of little things in common that people probably won't understand. Both of us, we Geminis. Me and him, we could talk, and he understand me beyond than what the internet theories. You know, it's like he got a different perception of me. He ain't count. Like he say we gonna do something, we do it. No, Kendrick from the streets for real too. Oh, that boy, I got a lot of love for him.
This is, as Kendrick puts it on Watch the Party Die, giving truth to the youth, giving real perspective behind what many would deem as subject matter too violent, too negative. There was real intention behind it. He's not out here trying to keep his name relevant by catering to the ADHD consumption cycle of keeping your name in the news cycle 24/7, collaborating with every single artist, hopping on every single trend. There has to be a meaning behind it. Meanwhile, with Young Thug, while incarcerated, we heard a slew of jail phone calls he had, talking crap about tons of people he's collaborated with, tons of people he's wanted to do collaborations with, not just Kendrick Lamar, but basically everyone from the Atlanta hip-hop scene over the last 10 years.
And Drake's so stupid, he probably just sent the stupidest condolences like, yeah, bro, sorry for moms, and you know I'm here for you, bro, whatever you need. Just like something stupid, instead of giving them some wisdom of something real. You probably just said some crazy stuff on the phone, which is, you still genuine, you know what I'm saying? But you probably said something like that, and then you come right back 2-3 weeks later like, yo, let me get this song.
Right.
Instead of, you know, like doing the whole real procedure, calling them every single day, calling them every day, just figuring it out, getting with it. Like, hey, where you at? I'm gonna get on the plane and come chill with you, bro. Like, you using the fact that you Drake as a weapon now. Ain't nobody getting nothing but goddamn Pluto. He definitely do it. She probably done killed some of his babies, for sure. She probably done aborted some of his babies, for sure. 100%. He done took that bitch. Man, we went to Dubai one year. He took that bitch to Dubai with her and Brittany, her and that baby mama. I know for sure she done had some abortion. Guess the crazy part is when I became a superstar, I stopped nothing when I became a superstar. I started being like, bitches, I know a bitch gonna try to trick me. He just started nothing when they become a superstar. I did it the backward way. Like, I'm 38, 39, all the kids grown. I'm just smack straight young shit and none of them hoes. It's really fire, but it ain't. It should be just like 1 or 2 girls like Bob Marley, you know. Bob Marley, well, he had a lot of baby mamas too though, but he was more like a real father too though. You know what I'm saying? Pluto got to like settle down and really just be with all the kids. People weren't looking at Bob Marley like, ew, you got 15 kids. You got 25 kids. I think Bob Marley got like 25 kids. People weren't looking at him like he was bad because he was like a real father. He was just like super there and just being a super dad, being whatever the best he could be. So women, he wasn't like disgraceful to women. Women wanted to have his kids. Pluto is like, you pushing the P, you just want to have your kids and shit too, but you still got to be like 100% locked in with the kids. You like 100% locked in with the bitches. That's the wrong way to go.
And as a result, it's created a spectacle, a circus, an entire landscape that now has to be rebuilt. Instead of being able to simply celebrate Young Thug's release, enjoy the new chapter in his career, because of the gluttony, the pillow talking, the gossiping that he engaged in, he's now forced to face the consequences.
I just don't got my twin, bro. I don't got my friends, bro. I'm just up, man. I'm up, bro. The nigga who I be with every day, I don't got him no more, bro. I'm up, bro.
What would have been the point for Kendrick Lamar to argue with Young Thug over him not doing that feature, over him, as Young Thug put it, not putting enough people on? The same thing goes for Kanye West. The same thing goes for Lil Wayne. Why argue with these clowns if the circus is well at work? We saw what transpired with Kanye West over the last 6 months. Why reason with these guys if they can't see the future first? Kanye West could have went down as the most legendary artist of the 21st century. A multi-decade-long legacy built on classic albums and an emphasis on authenticity. A legacy that'll be hard to remember so fondly thanks to the horribly hateful things Kanye West has said over the last few years.
Why say Virgil after he passed? I think a lot of people feel like, he's not here to defend himself. It feels like you still have a little bit of animosity there.
I'm evil.
Hate that reached a tipping point about 6 months after Watch the Party Die was released, when Kanye West burnt his entire party down, possibly creating generational trauma for his family and children by crapping on their mother's entire family, exposing traumatic events that happened to him and his cousin when he was a child, praising the Mustache Man, calling Jay-Z and Beyonce's kids the R-word, and not failing to target Kendrick Lamar in the process. The Super Bowl didn't just have Lil Wayne shook up, it also had Kanye West shook. He tweeted out things like, "Bro, Kendrick Lamar cannot rap. Wayne got way more life bars. I got more bars. Kendrick doesn't have one bar where I say I wish I said that. Kendrick and Tyler, the creator, are the two most overrated so-called artists. Please order more security." Why argue with these clowns if the circus is well at work? Kendrick could have responded to stuff like this. Kendrick was never king. Maybe king of the West Coast, but never king of the world. He never was. He's a good kid from a mad city, but Lucian Grange went too far with this Kendrick stuff last year and this year, and y'all dumb industry plants ruined the King of the Underground's album with that rap tone all over the place. Playboi Carti made my favorite music until I heard Kendrick on it. What I'm saying is not about Kendrick, he's just a pawn. The album before Not Like Us tanked. Lucian sent help. Why reason with these guys if they can't see the future first? A lot of these guys who have jumped out the gate to expose who they truly were out of jealousy, out of hatred, out of fear of not being in that top spot, simultaneously expose their true colors and their insecurities and their shortcomings in the process. Look at Lil Wayne. A couple days before this song was released, Kendrick Lamar was announced to be the Super Bowl halftime performer for the 2025 halftime show in New Orleans. Lil Wayne somehow felt entitled to that position. So instead of congratulating Kendrick Lamar or staying silent on the issue, he decided to go on Instagram, acting like this was something that was robbed from him and left him destroyed.
That hurt a lot. You know what I'm talking about, it hurt a whole lot. I blame myself for not being mentally prepared for a letdown, for just automatically mentally putting myself in that position like somebody told me that was my position. It made me feel like not getting this opportunity. And when I felt like you guys reminded me that I ain't without y'all. And that's an amazing reality.
But it wasn't just this cryptic Instagram post. Lil Wayne went on a months-long campaign, making his entire Carter 6 album rollout, his first album in 5 years, and the 6th installment in one of the most legendary hip-hop series of all time, making the entire rollout about how he was snubbed for that Super Bowl slot. First, he announced the album's release date in a Cetaphil commercial. Cetaphil, if you guys didn't know, is a cream for sensitive skin. And the entire plotline of the commercial was that we're all a little sensitive.
Hey, we still going?
Nah, this is time sensitive.
He was emphasizing he won't be at the Super Bowl because he's got bigger things going on, aka the Carter 6. And when he was asked, before Kendrick was even announced as the performer, on why he feels like he deserves that slot, he said it's because he's going to work so hard to the point where his music is undeniable, and he will be a shoo-in for that performance. So surely, with all this talking, the Carter 6 must have been out of this world, right? Well, before the album came out, he did a promotional interview with Rolling Stone where he previewed them some of the music that was supposed to be on the tape. In this interview, it says, after one Carter 6 song, Lil Wayne tells the room they could have had some real music mimicking guitar playing, but instead, they got rapping. He's talking about the NFL. They effed up, he says, after playing another song. Essentially, after previewing this Carter 6 music, again making it about the entire Super Bowl debacle, Wayne is saying that they could have had real music like the stuff he's previewing on the Super Bowl stage, but instead they got Kendrick Lamar straight rapping. Why reason with these guys if they can't see the future first? After all this talking, after Lil Wayne saying that the music would be so undeniable that they would feel like idiots for not having chose him, he ends up finally releasing his long-anticipated Carter 6 album in June of 2025. The most memorable moment off that track list was Elephant Sounds. And the album was trashed so hard that his daughter had to come out and defend the quality of her father's music.
Carter 6, you said Carter 6 is trash. That's fine. That's what you want to say. But let me tell you something about my father and Carter 6. This is what I hate about you kids. The fact that y'all can get on TikTok and do a dance to it, that don't mean that it's trash, babe. Okay? The fact that you can't get on TikTok and do a little 1-2 little viral moment for it, that don't mean that it's trash, babe. My dad was talking real shit. It's stuff on that album that you can hear in 2K, in games, at malls, at all type of stuff. It's universal, my love. Y'all need to take y'all minds out of the TikTok world and get to the real bag. Whereas my dad is a lyricist, babe. My dad really talks. So if you can't understand it, please move silent like the GM lasagna and get the fuck out of here. Thanks.
What purpose would it have served Kendrick Lamar to respond to any of this mess? The truth ends up revealing itself. But it's not just about individuals exposing themselves for their own insecurities. Sometimes the lifestyle you lead ends up catching up to you. If you parade in gluttony without giving truth to the youth, the graveyard is company. Just tell us what casket to choose. They party more than bees. Tell me, what are you working for? You probably forgot that just a couple days after the song was released, the Diddy party literally died. Just like Kanye West, Diddy at one point was one of the most influential and legendary figures within pop culture, elevating hip-hop to a much more mainstream global level than we had ever seen before his time. But sadly, due to the lifestyle he lived, the empire, the legacy, all came crumbling down, leaving him all alone. This was a dark warning to anyone engulfed in the toxicities and vanity of the lifestyle within Hollywood. When you overindulge in that gluttony, when you take advantage of your powers, everything you worked so hard to build can be taken away from you at a moment's notice. We saw the curtain peel back behind some of the most disturbing stories we've ever heard from a rapper. From the horrible abuse that his girlfriend Cassie had to endure, to allegedly lighting Kid Cudi's car on fire, to the freak-offs. I mean, this even had DJ Akademiks warning Drake to stop living that Hollywood lifestyle and take the advice that Kendrick Lamar was giving on this song.
Drake needs to learn from Diddy and Jay, because Drake is like 38 now. And you know when Kendrick says watch the party die, you got to stop the party after a while. Like if you don't stop the party and keep it till 50, you see where Diddy's at. At some point, we ain't saying get married and have kids, but just exit stage left. I'm going to catch you later.
And speaking of Akademiks, I think these next few bars apply to him. Influencers talk down because I'm not with the basic stuff, but they don't hate me. They hate the man that I represent. The type of man that would never deride because I want a favor. The type of man that resides in patience. Long before this beef, and of course after it, we've seen Akademiks get exposed for who he truly is. Was it all in the hopes of getting a favor from Drake? The radio personality pushing propaganda for salary. Let me know when they turn up as a casualty. Ever since the beef emerged, we saw the rise of Akademiks' Twitter account, Akademiks TV, where his little minions spew up propaganda on a daily basis, so disrespectful and disgusting to the point where when Akademiks actually showed up to one of Kendrick's concerts, Kendrick's people ended up pressing Akademiks over the hate-fueled speech that was spewed on this platform, asking him if it was Drake pushing the propaganda for Akademiks.
Day Free had a moment he asked me, he said, he said, what are you getting from this? He says, is he paying you? And that was the most insulting thing and I had conversations with these men for a while. But the very idea that I was like a purchasable commodity was so disgusting. I reminded him, I said, you know, I've been doing this for over 10 years. I've been doing this for over 15 years. How did you think I became me? His idea was, well, if you're not getting paid by this guy, if Drake ain't paying you, why do you lean that much in that direction? And I was like, I've never gotten paid. Like, the people who I've defended the most, I've never gotten paid from.
And the payout that Akademiks has got for bad-mouthing other rappers in defense of Drake has been what exactly? What has Drake given to Akademiks in return for the propaganda he's pushed?
He treating you like how when a thot's in a DM, I ain't trying to link her tonight. When he needs you, he'll send you DMs, he'll play old buddy with you, but he really don't with you. You showing him mad love, he don't show you no love. You think Drake shows you love?
Drake showed me a lot of love.
How? What's he do to show you love?
I got exclusive info.
That's not love. What do you do with that exclusive info? You say it to the world, you gas it up 10 times more. He's using you as a free a billboard, free promo. Showing you love is, I'm in the city. Here's 10 tickets to my show. Backstage, pull up. He sent Ice Spice a jet before he sent you one. You're the biggest media platform,
What that got to do with Drake? He's the biggest rapper.
So, you're promoting him. That could be dropping ass music, but you won't say that because you're a #1 fan. Doing backflips.
Regardless of whether Drake is there as a friend or a source of exclusive information for Akademiks, the biggest thing we realized after the song was released was that no one in this industry is dying for you. Akademiks saw it all nearly fall apart when he was caught in a Discord chat asking a 14-year-old kid some absolutely disgusting questions. I'm not going to get into exactly what he had said within that interaction, but it's interesting to observe the different personalities, different ethical standards of the entire opposite end of internet and hip-hop culture, the side that Drake is spearheading. Again, Drake gives Akademiks so few cosigns or public acknowledgements, you would think he doesn't even know who Akademiks is. But Akademiks has essentially made a big part of his brand being Drake's cheerleader. And because, like Akademiks has said, a perk to being Drake's cheerleader is that Drake trusts him to feed exclusive info to Akademiks so he can be the first one to report it to the world, even though a lot of the times that quote-unquote exclusive info is Drake just lying to Akademiks so he can manipulate the narrative in the media. With all that happening, Akademiks himself has seemingly created a divide within hip-hop, within internet culture in general, between legacy media and new media. And we're seeing Drake fuel that divide even further by dissing hip-hop journalists like Rob Markman, by going on a podcast like Bobby Altov and speaking about quote-unquote loser, storied, accomplished journalists not deserving an interview from him, and instead pioneering a movement of rappers linking up with streamers like Kai Cenat, or maybe like Drake with XQC and Adin Ross, people who don't even know his music.
One hint I'll give you. Okay, it's a Drake track.
It's a Drake diss.
No.
We know what it is.
No. It's not a diss. It's not a diss. And it's on Scorpion.
What's that?
He's never heard that out.
You're off to a horrible start. Okay.
People who would go as far as to say lyrics in hip-hop are not a priority.
If you care that much about lyrics, just read a book.
If you care that much about lyrics,
ask the rappers to write books and read their books, read their tweets. The music is more than just lyrics. Nobody gives a
this idiot or an idiot.
And listen to a song, don't care about what they say. They could be speaking German for all I give a about. Because I don't give a no lyrics. It's noises. I don't care. What would anybody care?
Or rap is dead.
Rap's dead, bro. I'm sorry. It just is.
Let's not go there.
We don't gotta go there, but it's dead.
Let's not go there. You know what? Honestly, it'll never die.
Not die as far as like full on die.
It'll never die. What do you mean?
Music's just dry right now, bro. Like, chat, who do y'all listen to right now, bro?
It was a weird NBA season. That's all it was, you know?
It's alright.
New season starts in like 5 days anyway.
Facts. Brand new season, brand new year.
So I say all this to say, these are the type of people in the media that Drake has been championing. He has separated himself from legacy media, old school journalism, and instead, the people he believes should be carrying the next wave of media are the streamers like Adin Ross, XQC, and DJ Akademiks. We just looked at the actions and things that all three of these characters have done or said over the last few months. Not to mention all of the propaganda that each of them, actually not XQC because he doesn't even know Drake's music, but Adin Ross and Akademiks specifically have pushed for Drake ever since Watch the Party Die has been released. Influencers talk down because I'm not with the basic stuff, but they don't hate me, they hate the man that I represent. The type of man that never derides because I want a favor. The type of man that resides in patience. Over the last few months, Akademiks has made the bold claim that because of what Kendrick Lamar did with that rap battle against Drake, he effectively, temporarily killed hip-hop. Akademiks says he spoke to his rapper friends who feel like the climate right now is all about dissing and battles and lyrics, and because of that, it's hard for them to find an audience and demand to release their projects. And because we've been living in those gluttonous times where we're getting mixtape after project after album every single week, each one having an extremely short lifespan, people like Akademiks and Adin Ross can say things like rap is dead because that same formula that worked for almost a decade where we would receive playlist type albums with bloated track lists, no real meaning behind the subject matter, tailored for parties or TikTok, that formula isn't as efficient anymore. People are looking for something bigger. And that could be thanks to the standard Kendrick set with the battle, with the party dying, with the element of competition he wanted to bring back to hip hop.
Yo, I talked to some rappers, bro. Listen, I'm gonna keep it a bean with you. Bro, I talked to a few rappers, and obviously they're not woke rappers, they're not lyrical rappers. A bunch of them feel like Kendrick killed hip-hop, bro. He made hip-hop so lame where it's like, he's just over-analyzing. Like, this is about to be like battle rap again. Like the whole genre is battle rap. They feel like it's harder to get attention doing what they did because Kendrick just turned this into a Me Too movement. You feel what I'm saying?
But Akademiks doesn't hate Kendrick Lamar for quote-unquote killing hip-hop. He hates what Kendrick Lamar represents and what he's bringing to the forefront of hip-hop at this point. The party dying affects Akademiks and personalities like him massively. And again, everything said on Watch the Party Die, all of these lyrics came before all these comments Akademiks or Adin Ross made about hip-hop being dead. Influencers talking down because he's not with the basic stuff. The basic stuff is dying. People are tired living in gluttony. When Akademiks got exposed for how he was behaving in that Discord chat with that 14-year-old kid, he was promptly banned from Twitch and took a couple weeks off of YouTube. When he came back, at first, he wasn't having that same sort of impact. Views were down, hate comments were up, people turned on him. So what did he decide to do? Well, not comment on hip-hop, that's for sure. No, a guy like Akademiks, radio personalities pushing propaganda for salary, they don't get paid, their brand doesn't build off of commenting on real hip-hop music. That's why Akademiks had nothing to say about the brand new Clips album, their rollout, the Joey Batman versus West Coast beef. I don't even think he had much to say about Kendrick's GNX album. But what brought him back into relevancy after almost getting cancelled for that incident with the 14-year-old kid was two major things. And it didn't involve Drake helping him out in the slightest. After all that deriding, after all that propaganda he's pushed, when things got dark, it wasn't Drake who ended up helping him out. It was actually someone who has been very critical, but also very obsessed with Drake. Another clown in this 2025 circus that we discussed earlier, Kanye West. It was Kanye West at the height of his social media clown show that called on Akademiks to be the voice documenting all of Kanye West's raw thoughts, opinions, and perspectives in this very unstable moment within his life. Akademiks was sure to be the voice that could represent this circus the best, because that's what his brand is about. Controversy, clickbait, sensationalism, propaganda, and gluttony. You can't forget about that. And the second piece to Akademiks making his big comeback was, again, not talking about hip-hop, nothing hip-hop related, but instead speaking on the controversies that hip-hop artists and figures have been roped into. The Diddy case. He spent every waking hour during that multi-week long Diddy trial covering every aspect of the case, documenting the death of the party. It shows you what the priorities are of that side of media and content creation, what they obsess over, what they create a brand around. And boy, was Akademiks happy when Diddy got pretty much a slap on the wrist.
In a matter of count one, not guilty. Racketeering, he beat. Of Cassie, he beat. Oh, we back on road, Chad. Oh, we back on road. Yo, Cassie, get the on out of here, Cassie. Yeah, my boy was doing some prostitution shit. If he definitely not guilty for Cassie, he ain't guilty for Jane Doe. She's a This is at least some redemption for Diddy. Not guilty! 2 out of 5, chat. That boy beat the case. I wish this judge could have dismissed all them civil suits too. The pre-freak off is crazy, chat. I might have to put in an RSVP. I ain't even gonna lie to y'all, chat.
Later in this song, Kendrick rapped, "I feel for the women that deal with the clown and nerd stuff. Can't blame them. Today, they ain't really got much to work with. How many women harder than a lot of you guys? I would trade all of you for Nip. I can't be proud of you guys." And I feel like this statement alone is the exact antithesis to what DJ Akademiks' reaction was to the verdict within the Diddy trial. This is why they hate on Kendrick Lamar. He's quote unquote not with the basic stuff, right? He's not going to engage in the circus. He's not going to add fuel to the fire, to the clown show that we've been watching play out over the last 12 months. He stayed silent throughout all of it, only speaking through the music, through performances, through the art. And that's what they hate, the man that he represents. I've always said when all these OV-hoes are on Twitter talking about these conspiracies related to Drake suing the label because they're trying to conspire against him, or Kendrick Lamar using bots, Kendrick trying to build, all his popularity around tearing down Drake, whatever hatred these people, this loud voice on the opposing end has towards a Kendrick Lamar is not related to Kendrick Lamar himself. It's related to everything that Drake isn't, that Kendrick Lamar is. The man he represents, right? You think all these Drake fans wanted their favorite artist to go on a historic run of dropping some of the worst music we've not only ever heard in his career, but ever in a post-battle environment, like Wagwan Delilah, BBL Drizzy, Meet Your Padre, Tu Maza, the list can go on forever. 50 plus songs since this battle ended. Barely any of them have left an impact. Meanwhile, every move Kendrick makes, again, it's through silence, it's through calculation, it's putting up real numbers. Highest selling album of the year in 2025 with GNX, an album that came out in 2024. Most watched Super Bowl halftime show of all time. First rapper to headline a stadium tour. Most watched Amazon Music live event with the Pop Out last year. Kendrick is moving in silence, but when he pops out, no pun intended, the numbers and the momentum and the impact speak for themselves. That's what Drake fans are mad about. So they use the bodying excuse. They use the excuse that the industry is trying to tear Drake down. Deep down, what they're really upset about is that Drake is tearing himself down, criminalizing diss song lyrics and compromising freedom of speech with unprecedented lawsuits over rap beefs. Losing a rap beef and dwelling on it for a year and a half, teasing a red button that never releases, but instead, you get Adin Ross live streams or Iceman live streams where he previews music with Central C and Yeet, alienating himself from respected hip-hop journalists and American hip-hop as a whole, claiming that UK rap is better than anything coming out of America. Meanwhile, he's obsessed with buying American hip-hop artifacts as a way to taunt Kendrick and shift the attention onto his antics, and then it comes out that the artifacts are allegedly fake. I say all this to say, when Kendrick said, influencers talk down because I'm not with the basic stuff, but they don't hate me, they hate the man that I represent, all these streamers, the Adin Rosses, the Akademiks, talking down on Kendrick Lamar, these OVO conspiracy theorists on Twitter going crazy every single day over the success that Kendrick has had, they're not mad at Kendrick himself. They're mad at what his side represents and how that voice has gotten louder and louder and more impactful ever since Kendrick dropped Watch the Party Die. Meanwhile, the other side of the party has been spiraling. We looked at Diddy, we looked at Kanye, we looked at Young Thug, Drake, Lil Wayne, DJ Akademiks. I mean, aside from Diddy, these are all people who have talked crap about Kendrick or what he represents in the last 12 months since Watch the Party Die has been released. Kendrick has stayed silent. Drake has publicly spiraled online and crashed out on his fragile ops. Drake fans are not mad at Kendrick Lamar. They're mad that Drake is not as silent as Kendrick Lamar, not moving with as much calculation or intention as Kendrick Lamar. But that's the difference. Like Kendrick said in this song, they can't see the future first. Why reason with these guys if they can't see the future first? And that translates far beyond just the scope of hip hop, right? A lot of the division we're witnessing within society, a lot of the tragedies that have been occurring, the immense gun violence I spoke about at the beginning of this video, it all stems from the fact that people are parading in gluttony and not thinking of the future first. Like he says later in this song, their spirit is insecure. I see a new earth filled with beautiful people making humanity work. Let's kill the followers that follow up on popping mollies from the obvious degenerates that's failing to acknowledge the hope that we're trying to spread. If I'm not his vote, then you need to bring me his effing head or film this stuff in high res. AKA, if you don't stand for the change that I'm trying to make, then you're on that other side and there's a clear line in the sand and we're watching that part of the party die. Kill the followers that follow up on popping mollies, the obvious degenerates that fail to acknowledge the hope I'm trying to spread. He emphasizes at the end of this song, the last few bars, that essentially everything needs to be burnt down to be rebuilt. Everything wrong with hip hop, everything wrong with society, everything going on with internet culture. It has to be completely destroyed for a new leader to take charge, lead the way, and set a new standard for what should be displayed to the youth. My guy Jay Estrada said I gotta burn it down to build it up. That confirmation real as F. It ain't too many real as us. Locking into what I trust, looking outside, the kids live tomorrow, cause today, the party just died. But going back to Kendrick Lamar, emphasizing to the world just years prior that he is not the savior of hip-hop, of the world, of his culture, of whatever. He's trying to save himself. And he emphasizes this in this song as well, saying, they wonder why I'm not enthused to drop. The more visible you get, the more your spiritual is tried. There's people who lose everything if this quote-unquote party dies, right? Everyone is incentivized to push their agenda as the right side, as morally righteous, right? You see that in politics. You see that in media. You see that in music. We saw that in this rap beef. Both Drake and Kendrick Lamar wanted to show the world why their opponent was less noble and essentially a worse person than the other. Kendrick Lamar won this battle by showing the world that Drake and what he represents is quote-unquote not like him. And at this point in time, September 11th, 2024, is when Kendrick declares that that entire other side that has been pushing toxicity onto the youth must be burnt down. The party must be killed. But there's spiritual warfare in that. Again, people like Akademiks, people like Drake, they have direct incentive to keep that party going because that's what pushes the profits into their pocket. It's very challenging to start an entire spiritual revolution, right? That's why Kendrick emphasizes they wonder why I'm not enthused to drop, why I'm not incentivized to consistently be dropping records, parading in the gluttony, being on the basic stuff, being everywhere all at once. It's because the more visible you are, the more your spiritual is tried. The more you're out there, the more you're trying to lead that revolution, kill off the party, and restart from scratch, the more your spirit will be tested. The more people will try to take you down because they're incentivized to keep that party going that you're trying to destroy. We're living in one of the most polarized, violent, emotionally charged times in history, where we've never been so financially incentivized to push propaganda for our respective side, where music and society at large have never been so divided in their thoughts, in their preferences, in their ideologies or beliefs. And it's led to a slew of violence, hate crimes, incarcerations, public outbursts, beefs, lack of unity. But the one man who wanted to kill off this party has been very busy over the last year and a half, uniting his city, breaking artistic boundaries, avoiding the circus, the clown show, the narratives, the propaganda. But somehow, 12 months ago, he predicted it all. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you in the next one.